Formula One fans, Ferrari didn't say a word after Zandvoort. They let Lewis Hamilton do the talking, and in his message posted Sunday evening, between the apologies for those radio exchanges and the admission that frustration had brought out the worst in him, there were two final words that had absolutely nothing to do with those apologies. "We're coming." And those two words weren't about him. They were about what Ferrari is about to bring to Monza, because the bench tests are done and ADUO 2 is ready. A redesigned turbocharger, a revised combustion chamber, a new compressor, and even a specially developed shell fuel, all targeting around 15 extra horsepower and 0.2 of a second per lap on the Brianza circuit. But hold on, because there's also a figure that cools the excitement considerably, and it comes directly from Hamilton himself, relating to exactly how much he estimates Ferrari is losing on the straights. A number that makes those 0.2 only half the story. And he'll also walk you through the remarkable background on the small turbo decision, a perfectly logical choice that was undermined by a regulation change that arrived just 3 races in. Then there's the special livery Ferrari is reportedly preparing for the Italian Grand Prix, a tribute to one very specific year in the team's history. And finally, the Federation's second verdict on ADUO, with one team waiting with bated breath. Let's get into all of it right now. If you don't want to miss any updates on Ferrari and Formula One, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. Now let's get straight into the detailed analysis. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand the Monza upgrade, you need to understand a decision made before the season even started. The 2026 regulations eliminated the heat recovery system that, since 2014, had helped turbochargers spool up quickly. And without that assistance, a smaller turbocharger reaches full boost pressure much faster than a larger one. That's exactly why Ferrari deliberately chose a reduced-size turbo to eliminate response lag at the start and give Hamilton and Leclerc an explosive initial acceleration. It worked brilliantly in winter testing, and it worked in the opening races. But then, after just 3 Grand Prix, the Federation introduced a revised starting procedure with a 5-second wait at idle before the lights go out. And 5 seconds is enough for any turbo, large or small, to reach comparable boost levels. The advantage the engine had been designed around was neutralized by a regulatory change that had nothing to do with engine performance. But the cost of that choice? That stayed completely. On long, full-throttle straights, Ferrari continues to produce less power precisely in the rev range, where top speed is decided. Now, let's get into the detail of this upgrade, because it's not a single component at all. It's 4 interconnected modifications. The first concerns the turbocharger itself. The housing keeps the same reduced diameter, so Ferrari isn't switching to a larger turbo, but the impeller has been enlarged. A wider impeller moves more air with every rotation at high revs, exactly where the original specification was leaving performance on the table. The blade count and blade angle have also been revised to improve cylinder filling in the upper part of the power delivery. The second modification involves the combustion chamber, where the temperature of the airflow arriving from the compressor has been increased. A higher inlet temperature, managed correctly, produces greater pressure during combustion and therefore more power for the same fuel consumption. The third is the compressor, revised to work in harmony with the new impeller and maintain system efficiency across a wider operating range. This is a critical intervention because a larger impeller without a properly matched compressor can produce inconsistent boost pressure at various throttle positions, creating a drivability problem rather than just a performance one. And the fourth modification is the new shell fuel, homologated specifically for the characteristics of the revised combustion chamber and the new operating temperatures. Engine and fuel are developed together, and the Monza specification takes that integrated approach even further. Now the numbers. Together, these 4 modifications are targeting approximately 15 additional horsepower, with internal simulations projecting a gain of 0.2 of a second per lap on the Brianza circuit. And that figure is specific to Monza because, with 80% of the laps spent at full throttle, no other circuit amplifies power unit differences so dramatically. On tracks with greater cornering demands like Singapore, Madrid, or the technical sections of Baku, the absolute time gain will be smaller, but it will still show up in the SF26 ability to sustain energy delivery across longer stints. And there's a further cascade effect. Improving combustion generates more exhaust energy to recover, which translates into more electrical energy available, with an overall benefit that exceeds the raw horsepower figure alone. And then there's the gap. The estimated deficit heading into Monza is between 20 and 30 horsepower in race conditions. Recover 15, and the gap drops to between 5 and 15. Not power parity, but competitive parity, because losing less on the straights means a much larger portion of Ferrari's cornering advantage survives through to the braking zones, where Ferrari has been the strongest team all season. But here's the figure that tempers the excitement, and it comes straight from Hamilton himself. After the Dutch Grand Prix, the 7-time champion estimated that Ferrari was losing around 0.4 of a second on the straights alone during his pursuit of George Russell. If the upgrade is worth 0.2, that recovers only half the deficit. Hamilton crossed the line just 0.8 behind Russell, and his analysis was razor sharp. Even without the time loss behind Leclerc, he wasn't all sure Ferrari had enough performance to actually complete the overtake. And the problem could be even more pronounced at Monza, because those endless full-throttle sections make the engines roll even more decisive, exposing any remaining weakness far more clearly than Zandvoort did. That said, Hamilton came out of the summer break genuinely encouraged by the data surrounding the planned upgrades, to the point of saying he believes he can stay in contention for the championship. And there's another story playing out right now. The second ADUO measurement window closed at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and the Federation is now close to communicating the results of its analysis to the constructors, most likely before the Italian Grand Prix. As a reminder, this is the second of 3 moments during 2026, when engine performance is assessed. This window covered the period from Monaco through to Hungary. The third and final period will run from the Dutch Grand Prix through to the United States, and the result is being watched most closely by Red Bull. In the first measurement, their power unit was identified as the benchmark, and the system only considers the internal combustion component, without evaluating the battery, energy recovery, or electrical systems. As a result, the Milton Keynes team received no additional development opportunities, while Mercedes, Ferrari, Audi, and Honda all qualified for the categories that allow them. But the picture could shift now. If the analysis shows that the Red Bull engine is more than 2% slower than one of its rivals, the team could finally access ADUO opportunities and introduce an upgrade before the end of the season. If it turns out to still be the benchmark or within that 2% margin, they walk away empty-handed. And let's close with something that will make the fans very happy. Ferrari is reportedly preparing a special livery for the Italian Grand Prix. According to what has been learned, the SF26 is expected to appear in a color scheme inspired by the 1996 car, the year that marked the beginning of Michael Schumacher's adventure at Maranello. The idea would be to revive the distinctive elements of that car, a combination of red and black with gold-colored wheels, reinterpreted through a modern graphic lens. Not a faithful replica then, but a contemporary reinterpretation of a livery that left a lasting mark on the collective memory of the sport. And that year represented so much more than just a single season. Schumacher's arrival launched a project that was destined to change the history of the Scuderia. The results didn't come immediately, but that decision laid the foundations for the dominant cycle of the early 2000s. 30 years on from that beginning, Maranello has apparently decided to celebrate its symbolic significance right in front of the home crowd.